Jimmy Kimmel Live returning to ABC last night with the host getting emotional during his monologue, insisting he never intended to downplay Charlie Kirk's assassination.
It was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
I don't think there's anything funny about it.
I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this.
Now, Kimmel's show was suspended by Disney last Wednesday, but despite Kimmel's return, some ABC affiliates owned by Sinclair Broadcasting Group and Nexstar Media Group are still preempting the show. And Jimmy Kimmel went on to thank Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, Clay Travis, Senator Ted Cruz for supporting him during his suspension. He said that he thanks the people who support a show, but most of all, thanks the people who don't support a show, but support his right to have one. So I think if you weren't expecting an apology or any reflection from Jimmy Kimmel, you may be pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah, and I think to your point, it was better than I thought it would be. I think the real proof is going to come out when the ratings come out to see how well received this was by the American people. I mean, I think I've heard a lot of people say in New York and L.A. the ratings could be high, those liberal bastions. You have to remember, it's off TV in a lot of middle-of-the-country stations, Sinclair stations, Nexstar stations. So it'll be curious to see. And what happens from here? Does this end this? Does Jimmy Kimmel's rhetoric change, or is it going to be the same going forward?
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel, when Roseanne got fired, he celebrated it or made a joke about it. So maybe this could be a learning lesson for him as well, and how he reacts to certain things.
But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
Damn, that boy is good.
Good and terrible.
Jerry, you can't have me laughing in times like this. We have a lot of breaking news, a lot of serious news to talk about, and we are so happy to be back. My hair is crazy. We are so happy to be back, and we're just letting it rip, man. We're just letting it rip. There's too much going on in the world right now. I'm so happy to be back with you here in the studio. We've been gone for what feels like almost a week. I think it's close to a week. We left last Thursday, and yeah, it's good to be home. I miss this audience. I love this audience. We want to make you proud. We want to make Charlie's legacy and memory proud. So we went out and we wholly and completely committed to that. I even had my pastor come out so that I could be like just totally locked in and ready to honor Charlie. And given the opportunity that you have, you just get a couple of minutes to talk, but 3 minutes actually total to talk. Just have an opportunity to like use it as a chance for God to speak through you, for the Holy Spirit to work, and that's what you saw in every single speaker actually. And with Charlie, I got to tell you, man, I knew that guy really well. He would have been so proud of that moment. And he is so proud. He's smiling down from heaven. And he sat there and watched Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. both talking about Christ Jesus, the most powerful men in the entire administration, in the whole world, walking the face of the earth. Men and women stand up there and profess their faith in what is the single largest apostolic event in human history. Hundreds of millions of people seeing that. Who knows how many thousands of souls saved? What an honor to be part of it. And we just wanted to make everyone proud and defend our friend. That's it. We just wanted to defend our friend. So that's it. Yeah, and we're back and we got a chance to like talk with a lot of people. Everyone from Bongino to RFK to Secretary of War to Tulsi. We were all sitting with them, and I got to lock in, and we got some really exciting things going. We are not going to let the energy slip. We have a ton to cover today on the show. There's so much breaking news. There's a horrible new left-wing terrorist attack. We are going to dispatch forever the hoax of this both sidesism bull. It's total and complete BS. Like, try not to curse, try not to swear, get your language under control. Be under control, but man, it makes my blood boil. And that's what Jimmy Kimmel did last night. Jimmy Kimmel tried to pull the whole both sidesism thing again. Man, it makes me upset, especially after the incredible revival-style spiritual awakening that we witnessed this weekend. And what is, again, in Charlie's memory, the single largest apostolic event in human history. Call it what it is. What a profound legacy that man leaves. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we will carry forward and do in our own small and poor capacity, because no one can replace Charlie, but we could all do like 10% more. This is what Don Jr. told me, and it's because of travel from Phoenix, and I don't have a private jet, right? Like, because of travel from, I fly commercial. I was like we're just a normal dude living a normal life, just like you, okay? And we're there with our baby, right? And I had my parents watch the kids, and that's just that's life, that's life. So it's it's tough to get back and forth quickly, and we hosted Charlie's show on Monday, and so anyway, I'm just kind of like getting it all out there because I've missed this audience, I've missed this studio, I've missed being able to connect with you. Don Jr. and Bam Bongino both came up to me on the floor. I haven't told this story. I've told the story of Elon. I was like, hey man, it's cool to see you with Trump. And Elon's like, well, we will either hang together or we will surely all hang separately. Boy, is that the case. There's another deadly left-wing terrorist attack. We'll get to that in just a second. We also have, I think, some members from ICE, some members from the administration, or former DHS secretary that will be joining our program to talk about it. And so we pray for the people who've been shot at an ICE facility by an active sniper situation that I believe is under control now. I hear there's 4 casualties. Dan Bongino and Don Jr. come up to me, and we all know each other. Haven't seen each other in person in a long time, frankly, because Dan Bongino lives and works inside of this, locked skiff in the FBI. Nobody really sees Dan Bongino anymore. He's got important work to do. And they come up to me, and we're having a chat, and Bongino, in his very serious, extremely locked in, eyes bulging out of his head way, right? Bloodshot eyes like this. Dan Bongino says, catching Charlie's killer was the single proudest moment of my life, because I know what we have to do next. He says, what we have to do next is we all gotta step up. There ain't no replacing Charlie, says Bongino to me and Don Jr. There ain't no replacing Charlie. But if everyone does 10% more, if all of us combine our energy just a little more, then we can fill the gap. We can bridge the gap. I was like, man, that's true. And so expect us to be on the road a little more. Expect some big things, big announcements. Expect this program to be taking you kind of the way that we always have. Yeah, Klein, I get it. It's taking you kind of how we always have. With us on this extraordinary journey where we all save America together. So believe that. We are going to lock in. We're going to rip roar. It's going to be a wild ride. It's good to be back. Today's Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Sniper. Clearly a left-wing sniper. I'm just going to go there. Oh, how dare you? You don't know the motive yet. Oh, really? A sniper opened fire at an ICE facility and then turned the gun on himself when law enforcement approached him? Okay, got it. Apparently there are 4 fatalities here. Another incidence of deadly left-wing violence. How long will we allow this to happen? Anyway, that's breaking right now. Jimmy Kimmel refuses to apologize for lying about Charlie Kirk's assassin. We will not give him any passes. His crocodile tears mean nothing to us. And I'll tell you why. And we're also going to shame those on our side who defended Jimmy Kimmel. The grotesque weaklings, you little children, stand aside, sit down, let the men actually work. The people who knew Charlie had the right instincts. The people who didn't know Charlie or trying to grift off Charlie and his memory, yeah, those people are the ones who immediately turned on Trump and immediately apologized to Jimmy Kimmel. Okay? Like those are the people you got to watch out for. And we're going to go in today. Okay? Stephen Colbert drags out Gavin Newsom to threaten ICE agents and to paint a target on ICE facilities. And then no less than 8 hours later, an ICE facility is shot up. We're going to play you that clip. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Go gold today, man. Seriously, I don't even know what to tell you. We could put up chart after chart, but just like we talk about it a lot, and that's because it works for us, you know? We don't ever even talk about products that we don't use on this program. Like, whatever it is, like, we're either bought in or we're not. And so I'm telling you, gold is a massive performing asset for me. And it has performed so well over the past couple of years. I've just been investing a little bit. And everyone's talking about digital gold, but how about like actual physical gold? You know, you can buy that too. And go gold, man. The Fed is going to keep cutting rates. History tells us what happens next. Gold and silver are about to take off. Get in right now. Advantage Gold, my homies, can help you. They've released their 2025 gold and silver report. It lays out why America's first investors believe that we are on the verge of a massive precious metals rally. It's already rallying, and it's going to go up. Text Benny to 85545. Benny to 85545. Do it today and get a free copy of the 2025 gold and silver report before the Fed's next move sends metals even higher. Text Benny to 85545 and help protect your savings today. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just jump over to this because I've been, I've become the unofficial spokesperson. I've become the unofficial spokesperson against both sides of them. Breaking Dallas ICE facility, 3 people shot in active shooter situation. That's not correct, ALX. I think it's 4, right? Let's make sure that we are up and running. And then tell me if Chad Wolf, obviously we're working right now to book someone from DHS or from ICE. This is a ongoing situation. According to reports, the shooter has turned the firearm on themselves. Chad Wolf is booked. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Wonderful. Chad Wolf, former DHS secretary, will be joining the program here in just a few minutes, okay, to talk about this. All right, let's go. Let's read the top line here, and then ALX, make sure I have all of the most up-to-date information. 4? Is it 4 fatalities now? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's read. Here we go. Breaking death toll in Dallas ICE facility shooting rises to 4, DHS spokesperson says. Crazed sniper gunned down. Do we need to say crazed? Can we just say left wing at this point? Crazed sniper gunned down 3 immigrants as they were being led into an ICE facility and processed early Wednesday. Monstrous attack on an unidentified gunman at a rooftop. Unidentified gunman shot from a rooftop as agents led into the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office before 7 a.m. local time. Just a month after there was a bomb threat at the exact same facility, Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin told Fox News. There are 3 fatalities, potential detainees. So wait a second. So the gunman shot they shot the criminal aliens? Goodness gracious. Okay, so what do we have here? Active shooter situation, Dallas ICE facility on Wednesday morning left 3 detainees in ICE custody shot, multiple victims in critical condition, according to police. So there are differing reports as to whether there are 3 or 4 fatalities. According to police sources, the suspect was a sniper on the roof, armed with a rifle. The shooter, identified police as a white man, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head as agents approached. A crazed sniper shot at least 3 immigrants, 2 fatally. The unidentified gunman, again, shot from a rooftop. This is just a month after a bomb threat at the same facility. 3 fatalities. The dead did not include law enforcement, but there are other injuries, some in critical condition. It's monstrous. The shooter opened fire while the detainees were being transferred, and portals to the facility was open. The shooter, identified as a white male, was found dead on a rooftop nearby. On a immigration attorney's office from a self-inflicted gunshot wound as agents were closing in. So, of course, a coward to the end. It isn't clear if other shooters were involved in the attack. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says there have been multiple injuries and there have also been fatalities. Let's go ahead and read what the DHS Secretary says, and then we will have the former DHS Secretary under President Trump, Chad Wolf, joining our show. Shooting this morning at Dallas ICE field office. Details are still emerging, but we can confirm that there were multiple injuries and fatalities. The shooter is deceased by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We don't know the motive yet. We know that our ICE law enforcement is facing unprecedented violence against them and must stop. Pray for the victims and their families. Well, you know, if there's a dude who's opening fire on federal agents with President Trump in charge, with the single largest deportation apparatus in history, and with Gavin Newsom painting a target on their back yesterday. Where's that clip? We got that clip? Yeah. Here's what Gavin Newsom had to say yesterday. Gavin Newsom says, oh, hey, you know, like ICE, we should effectively just go ahead and attack ICE because they're all Nazis, they're all fascists, they're all authoritarians. This is like incitement to violence. Here we go.
That's happening in the United States of America. Masked men jumping out of unmarked cars, people disappearing, no due process, no oversight, zero accountability, happening in the United States of America today. People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? Bull, we're being hyperbolic. If you're a black and brown community, it's here in this country. And so I'm deeply proud that I had the privilege of signing the nation's first bill to address the issue of masking, also to require you have simple identification, to your point. I mean, if some guy jumped out of an unmarked car in a van with a mask on, tried to grab me, I mean, by definition, you're going to push back. And so these are not just authoritarian tendencies. These are authoritarian actions by an authoritarian government. You saw what Stephen Miller said last week. This should put chills up spine. Called the Democratic Party an extremist organization. Basically a terrorist organization, saying he's going after his enemies. You saw the tweet that Donald Trump sent out, Truth Social, basically telling Pam Bondi, I want these 3 people taken out. That's happening in the United States.
Authoritarian, fascistic tendencies. That's 8 hours ago. You know, at what point, like, they haven't learned any lessons. They've learned no lessons. Charlie Kirk is dead due to left-wing violence, due to left-wing rhetoric, due to the endless, ceaseless, truly bottomless pit of pejoratives, slanders, and libels against conservatives, and of, well, the forgiveness of left-wing acts like this of terror. I'm going to make it my life's mission to make them eat it. The left wing is the single greatest threat to freedom and security in our nation. In our modern history, no terror group even comes close. It is time to get real about this threat. It is time to understand the sunken spiritual depravity of the left. And we're going to get into it on the show. Again, we have former Department of Homeland Security Secretary will be joining us in just a moment. Here's the news, and then also the spokesperson for DHS responding. Let's go.
Griff, we just heard from Todd Lyons. He said, hi, we had shots fired into the Dallas ICE office, into the ICE office, specifically into the Sallyport, as you were saying, Griff, area where detainees are brought in. 3 people have been shot and en route to the hospital. Reports are the shooter is down from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Reports are all ICE employees are accounted for, still searching and securing the scene.
Yeah, and Ainsley, Secretary Kristi Noem, DHS Secretary, is now responding on social media as well, saying that there was a shooting this morning at the Dallas ICE detention facility. Details are still emerging, but we can confirm there were multiple injuries and fatalities. That's new and troubling. The shooter is deceased by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. She says, while we don't know the motive yet, we know that our ICE law enforcement is facing unprecedented violence against them. It must stop. She adds, please pray for the victims and their families.
And Griff, you know the threat level is very high right now for ICE. There was a bust done also in Texas of a group of individuals of the
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to get to DHS and their spokesperson, Tricia McLaughlin, who we know personally and who's wonderful and who says that she will be able to join our program in a bit, right? They have to sort quite a few things out right now at DHS. But Tricia was on with Fox moments ago, giving an update here. She is, again, the official spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security. Let's listen.
We believe that he was shooting at law enforcement and the detainees from an apartment building. Again, those details are still murky. It looked like it might have been a sniper or some sort of a long form shot. But as soon as we have more information, we will give that out. But we do ask the American public, please join us in praying for the victims, for our law enforcement. You know, we've been saying for months that the rhetoric around our law enforcement, particularly ICE, the dehumanization, the demonization, has spun so far out of control, and that someone is going to get hurt or someone's going to get killed. And we hope that's not today, but this must stop. And I do have to know, almost a month to the date, at this Dallas ICE field office, we actually had a bomb threat there, a viable bomb threat. So we know that there has been really out of control rhetoric and threats against them. And please join us in praying.
Trish.
Out of control threats and rhetoric. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to show you some of those threats. We are going to prove right now demonstrably before the former Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security joins us, Chad Wolf. We're proud to have him on the show. We're also proud to have sponsors that keep our show going, especially in breaking news environments like this. Patriot Mobile is one of them. Patriot Mobile makes sure that we are locked in on the road. It was important and heavy work the last couple of days in Phoenix. I'm proud to have our partners, Patriot Mobile, with us because, well, they're the only Christian conservative wireless provider in America. They kept us connected and able to communicate with you as we want to project strength right now. We want to project unity within our own party, and we want to ensure that we can spread the uplifting message of Charlie, but then also the worker message of Charlie, the muscular message of Charlie, which is we must go on offense. Patriot Mobile goes on offense against left-wing tech tyranny. There's been a lot of that lately, a lot of exposure of that. Hopefully we'll get to it in the show. But anyway, go to patriotmobile.com/Benny and call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Benny for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT. Make the switch today. Patriot Mobile, the only Christian conservative wireless provider in America. I want to show you a chart. Here's a chart. This is from the FBI. This is combined violence rates by party. Jimmy Kimmel last night, this jackwagon, decided to do the whole both sides thing. Chris Cuomo decided to pull the whole both sides thing on me less than 12 hours after my friend was shot by a radicalized left-wing Trantifa member, furry boyfriend, who's allegedly gone missing. They're trying to run an op right now that says that violence is something that happens on both sides. No, it's not. No, it's not. Let me give you a little bit of data here. Just a couple of things off the top line. After President Trump was shot in the head, only 30% of Democrats said that he's deserved sympathy. 60% of Democrats said President Trump deserved it. That's the hard data. It's right there. Danny, ALX, make sure you're hitting Klein with this data. 60% of Democrats said Donald Trump deserved to be shot in the head. Try not to yell, but boy, it makes my blood boil. I will personally dispatch from the earth and salt the earth with these lies that violence is a both sides issue. Close to a third, 1 out of every 3 Democrats, 1 out of every 3 Democrats say that political violence is acceptable. Political violence, there are times when violence is the right decision. 1 out of 3, ladies and gentlemen. According to the Cognition Research Institute, the left has totally normalized violence. 55%, a clear majority of the left, say that it is justified to kill Trump. 48% of the left say it is justified to kill Elon Musk. 57% of the left say it would be justified to destroy a Tesla dealership and don't care if someone is harmed in the process. Political violence. If you break it down since 1975, political violence leading to death, somebody who is defined as right-wing versus left-wing. What's it look like since 1975? 1975, I mean, that was quite a while ago, right? There have been 1,081 different left-wing political attacks leading to death. Right-wing, as we understand exactly how utterly loosely defined right-wing is, and how manipulated these terms can be. Right-wing, 300. So you are more than 3 times more likely to be killed by a left-winger than a right-winger. Nobody ever argued that there's no such thing as violence on the right. Okay? I'm not arguing that. I'm not saying that it has never existed. I'm saying that in our current landscape and in the current time vectors in our nation, that it is an exclusively left-wing problem. In the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's murder, we, the right, who is the aggrieved party attacked by the left, Charlie Kirk, killed by a leftist. Let's go ahead and describe what happened. Well, the right got together en masse and prayed, mourned, and went to church. That's what the right did. The left decided to commit further terrorist acts, including, I guess, this ICE shooting that just happened with multiple fatalities. Wait and see, wait and see. Okay, we'll wait and see. Let's talk through what we know. An ICE facility was just shot up. There are reportedly 3 or 4 fatalities by a sniper on the roof who then in a cowardly act turned the gun on himself. We'll see who this individual is. I won't hold my breath. This, of course, happened just hours after Gavin Newsom said that all ICE agents are domestic terrorists, that ICE, President Trump, and DHS are authoritarian tyrants, thus, again, painting a target on their back. That happened, like that is happening this hour, all right? But let's just go back through the last week or so since Charlie Kirk's murder. We, the right, are an aggrieved party. We, the right, are the ones who lost a generational voice, a future president, and our biggest influencer 100,000 members of the right just gathered in person in Phoenix. I was there. I spoke. I was wandering the arena all day long. I must have met 1,000, 5,000 people personally. I was backstage. I was front of stage. I was all over the place. No threats of violence. No windows broken. No cop cars burned. No police attacks. No fists thrown. No fights at all. The left, in the immediate aftermath of Charlie's murder, well, a left-wing pederast named George Zinn decided to put his arms up and say, I'm the shooter, thus allowing the shooter to actually escape. He had a bunch of, I don't even like saying the word. He had a bunch of illegal pederast material on his phone, it turns out. So he committed multiple felonies there. So this is just you. Remember Kyle Rittenhouse? Like Kyle Ritten. The quality of people at the BLM rallies never see, go ahead and look them up. You can go look up their criminal records and you see there's a real problem on the left. But let's continue. Days after that, in Utah, hours after that in Utah, 2 Democrats, registered voter Democrats, placed a bomb on a local Fox News affiliate's van. Dozens of other leftists have been arrested and charged with assault and desecration for attacking Charlie Kirk vigils and memorials. Tens of thousands of leftists have lost their jobs because they celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder, including Jimmy Kimmel, who miraculously appeared back on TV last night in order to do what? Not apologize. He blamed MAGA for Charlie Kirk's murder. He lied on Charlie Kirk. Blames the movement that Charlie Kirk was the figurehead of for Charlie's murder. Doesn't apologize for that. Doesn't talk about left-wing violence, of which he is one of the main instigators through his propaganda channel. Total and complete dehumanization. "58 House Democrats voted against disavowing all violence. 58 House Democrats then took to the floor to slander, malign, and libel Charlie Kirk. Democrats were more upset that Jimmy Kimmel got a paid vacation to chill out with his kids than that Charlie Kirk will never see his children again. Democrats were more outraged that Jimmy Kimmel got put in a timeout where he had full freedom of speech. He could have tweeted, he could have posted, he could have stood on the street corner and yelled and said anything, than that Charlie Kirk will never speak again. There is a sickness in this party. It is a spiritual sickness. It is totally and completely dehumanizing. And it's time for us to accept it with full eyes, open eyes, and understanding of the demons that we actually face. You cannot unify with people that want you dead. And you cannot unify over a lie. So I refuse to have any conversation with anyone who will not admit that the violence, according to all available data, and the blood pouring into the streets currently and actively, that the violence is a left-wing problem, and a left-wing problem exclusively in our modern day. You want to stump a leftist? Say, oh, okay, when was the last deadly right-wing attack exactly? Why don't you tell me that? They don't know. They don't know. They can't tell you. Because there hasn't been one. They'll point to what happened in Minnesota. Lance Bolitar was an appointee of Tim Walz. He said that Tim Walz told him to go commit murder. Lance Bolitar is out of his flipping mind. Nobody really knows. He had a bunch of No Kings flyers in the back of his car. That's what they're going to point to. It's so easily debunked. It's so easily unhoaxed. It's like get smart, lock in with the data, and be ready to defend against this. It's what Jimmy Kimmel did last night. Oh, it's a both sides issue. No, it's not. Fight back. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Chad Wolf is ready to rock. He is the former DHS secretary. He joins us live now. We're proud to have him. Let's go. Hi, Chad. How are you? So sorry that the agency that you led is suffering in this manner this morning. Perhaps you have some insights for us. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. Obviously, it's another ICE shooting. It's another shooting in an ICE facility. We've seen this time and time again. There was actually a shooting previously in Texas, right? So now this is the second one that we see here. We have them in Portland. We have them across the country because I think, to your point earlier, Benny, the left continues to demonize law enforcement and specifically ICE. And I think it motivates some of their supporters to do some crazy things. And we see this playing out in real time. Now, in this instance, I don't think the motive is known yet. But I mean, if you just look at the pattern that we see over the past several months since President Trump came back into office, we know what this is. We know what this feels like to us. And ICE officers are experiencing this. This is real for them. This isn't anything they see on TV. This is something that they have to deal with day in and day out, knowing that when they go to work, they may not see their loved ones again. And this is real. And so when you talk about, and you just mentioned, when you have Tim Walz, who is, a vice president candidate, talk about how ICE is the Gestapo, modern day Gestapo.
Yes.
Or you have Governor Newsom, again, a governor of a very big state,
yes,
passing a bill that is called the No Secret Police Act. Well, the secret police, those are the Nazis, right? And so that's the type of language that the left uses. The right doesn't use this language. The left uses this language, and they do it for a purpose, and they have some responsibility to take for all of this.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you're going to have to file incitement charges against someone. Yeah, at some point, you can't just keep going around saying that these federal agents are all Nazis, physically attacking the federal agents yourselves if you're LaMonica McIver, which is bewildering to me, Chad. It's bewildering to me that, like, there hasn't been proper punishment for a member of Congress that physically attacked an ICE facility and was brawling and throwing punches at federal agents.
Look, you have to make an example of these folks. And if they break the law, you hold them accountable. And you have to make an example to say, look, we're not going to continue this. Right? We see this all the time. Members of Congress say, well, I can do and say anything. I'm a member of Congress. Well, you actually can't. You can't impede justice. You can't impede law enforcement. That's certainly what she was doing at that facility there in New Jersey. And we see this across the board. And the Department of Justice needs to make an example out of them. I know it's tough. I know it's difficult. I know, they haven't done that in some time, arresting members of Congress. But if they break the law, they need to be held accountable, just like you and I or any other normal American. If we did that, we'd be thrown in jail almost immediately. And I'm also, and I think you mentioned this, I'm also tired of hearing this. Well, both sides have got to tone down the rhetoric, got to tone down the violence. That's BS. It's just all of the violence that we see here is from the left.
Yes.
And they know it. Everyone knows it. It's Antifa. I mean, the president's designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. That's great, right? The other shooting that I mentioned earlier in North Texas was from the North Texas Antifa chapter, right? The events that are playing out in Portland in real time, my guess is it's Antifa as well. Like, this is all from the left because the left is out of ideas. And all they know to resort to is violence. And they will say that they are the party of diversity. And as long as you don't disagree with them, you're fine. As soon as you disagree with them, they've had it. And they in many times, not all, but in many times, they do resort to this violence.
So what you have up on screen right now, oh, Klein, you were so close, buddy. What you have on the screen right now is the same facility that was attacked, and we have all the mugshots, pop them up, attacked by Antifa on July 4th. It was the same Dallas facility. So you have this like terror group that has now been designated. I want to talk about this. Like, how does this work exactly? President Trump designating Antifa a terrorist organization. Here are the faces of the Antifa terrorists straight out of Central Casting. Is exactly what I thought they'd look like. If you were to ask AI to come up with a bunch of Antifa mugshots, here they are. They attacked the same facility. So this facility has already been under attack by the radicalized, militant, terroristic left. And so I think I think that what you're going to see today is quite clearly another series of left, you don't even have to make a guess, right, about this facility being under attack by the militant left wing. What's to be done here, Chad? Like you were DHS secretary. What does it mean to declare Antifa a terrorist organization? What can the Trump administration do now?
Well, a couple of different things, in addition to probably looking at what more they can do. But what it does, and the Department of Justice has used this designation in the past. So what it allows you to do is to arrest, let's say, these individuals are Antifa related. You arrest them on murder charges or attempted murder, arson, whatever the crime might be. And then you lodge, domestic terrorism. It allows you to enhance the penalties. It allows for more investigative power. It allows you to go beyond just a simple capital murder charge or attempted murder, whatever it might be. So it allows you to do more. It allows the Department of Justice to enhance the sentencing as well. So you're able to throw the book, sort of speak, at them even more so. But look, getting back to your original point, again, this is what ICE deals with day in and day out. And you have these irresponsible politicians and others saying that you shouldn't cooperate with them, that they're the secret police. Just think about that. They are declaring war on our law enforcement.
Yes.
ICE is given a job by members of Congress. They are given a job and they are fulfilling that job. Now, under President Biden, they didn't do it, right? Obviously, they didn't do it because they were directed not to do it. But they are fulfilling the job that Congress gave them. If these congressional members don't like it, then change the law. Give them a different mission. But until that time, do not demonize them because you have failed to do your job and change the law that you don't like. And so that's what really bothers me. These folks are signing up to do a job. And I'll just say, none of this is deterring them. ICE applications to be ICE officers are through the roof. Yeah. They're increasing. So whatever the intent here is to try to stop ICE or somehow make them unpopular, it's having the opposite effect, probably, right? Just like, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk's assassination, it's having the opposite effect. More and more individuals, more and more law enforcement want to be a part of ICE because they know the mission is so righteous.
So speaking of an unrighteous mission, we have breaking news here from Sobs at Human Events. The reporter on the ground is being told that this is a young man born in 1996 that has an active anti-ICE social media history, and that is a left-wing coded, is what we are being told here from all available reporting. We'll see what plays out, but obviously I know Jack very well and trust him, and his sources are really, really rock solid on stuff like this. So it seems like the motive is becoming quite clear. Yeah. I mean, to your point, actually, this is such a great point. So when ICE wasn't doing their job or wasn't allowed to do their job, right, through the Biden administration, no, you weren't attacking ICE. I wasn't coming out and saying, like, fight federal law enforcement. No. There's never been a Republican that ever said that ever, actually. Like, and if a Republican ever came out and said, it is time for us to all rebel and fight against our federal law enforcement, right, to, like, physically fight them, to call them all Nazis, and fascists and Gestapo. If a Republican were to come out and say that, like, they'd be disavowed from the party.
Yeah,
right? Because that's just not like what, like, it makes my skin crawl just saying it, right? Like it's like that. You can disagree with the tactics. ICE should be used as they're being used right now. The FBI was weaponized. But you don't sit there and say, let's all go fight and attack federal law enforcement agents. Like, that's an obscene thing to do. You can disagree on policy and usage of law enforcement, but never does it get to this level. It is, again, an exclusive rhetoric of the left.
Yeah. Look, we're the party of law and order. And I think we take that very, very, responsible. That look, you can change the law and you can have law enforcement focus on different things. But again, at the end of the day, they're there to protect Americans and protect communities and to do the right thing, to protect our borders, right, between ICE and Border Patrol and others. And so it's really, really important to give them our support, hold them accountable when they do wrong. And from time to time, they will do wrong, right? They're just like any other American here, right? They go and do that job on a daily basis. They get it right 99.9% of the time. But to simply demonize them because you don't like their mission, because you disagree with a policy that is being implemented by this administration and a law that's been passed by Congress, you've decided if you're on the left that you don't like that. And so instead of trying to change that, to work through that democratic process, you're just going to go out and call them all sorts of names and try to shame them into them not doing their job. But instead, as I mentioned, you're just encouraging them because they see the left for what it is. And they're going to continue to do their job, I think, in spades.
So just very quickly here, and maybe we can conclude with this, given your incredible history and also your current support and active role in supporting DHS and federal law enforcement at America First, which is fantastic. And within your own organization, please put up the Chad's X handle here so that we can, and his bio. Fantastic shot, by the way. It's a great hero shot right there with the Coast Guard chopper. It's got to be a cool trip. I hope to do one of those one of these times. Talk us through what happens next. Where should we go from here? Because I got to tell you, Chad, I've had a belly full of it. I've had a belly full of losing friends. I'm sick of having to cover Trump assassination trials like we did yesterday. There's so much violence on the left. And somebody has to actually take it seriously because again, it's not stopping. Jimmy Kimmel ain't apologizing, and they didn't. Gavin Newsom is right back at it. I think it was days after President Trump ate a bullet. And Alex, you're going to have to correct me here. Someone was on national TV saying, we got to put a target on Trump and take him out.
Yeah.
And it's this is the red. It's somebody shows you who they are, believe them. What must happen from a federal law enforcement and from a strategic perspective in order to finally rid ourselves of the ideology of left-wing terrorism taking root in our country?
Well, a couple of different thoughts. One, I'll kind of back up, and I think it's doing exactly what you're doing now, Benny, and others, which is continue to talk about this. I think what the left wants us to do is to cower, wants us to slink away, wants us to not be as vocal. And I think that's one thing that President Trump, going all the way back to 15 or even 16, has really taught us, which is we have to fight back. That the left does this, they do it very well, and the conservative movement writ large historically hasn't done it well. And we're starting to. So you got to continue to speak out about these things. But then the president's obviously waded into this very, very specifically. With the Antifa designation is a very big deal. It is not small, just like the foreign terrorist organization designation of MS-13 and TDA and others is a very big deal. He is signaling to his federal law enforcement, it's time to take these people seriously, investigate, understand their funding source, understand where they get their support, material support, and prosecute. So he is telling them it's time to start focusing on it. And then it translates to the Department of Justice, to the FBI, to DHS, to all the entities that have those law enforcement officers in the field. It's time to take this seriously. But most importantly is the follow through, is the prosecution and holding these people accountable and making an example out of them. It's critically important. So all the crazy left wing 18, 17, 19-year-olds see a bunch of people being thrown in prison for life or worse. Yes. They may decide to, I'm gonna modulate my behavior here a little bit. Yes.
You must have a deterrence. Otherwise, you're just gonna have broken windows.
Yeah.
Symptom throughout the entire nation. And there's gonna be copycats like crazy. I mean, we've been warning about this. But it's great to have the messaging from the vice president. It's great to have the messaging from Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, obviously someone who was essential in the America First Policy Institute, where Chad Wolf is the executive vice president. Here is the website, please, ladies and gentlemen. AFPI does incredible work. He also is the chair of AFPI's Homeland Security and Immigration. Maybe if just one final question here.
Yeah.
Everyone says right-wing terrorism. There's like this talking point that's like, oh, there's so much right-wing terrorism. White men are the most dangerous thing on Earth in America. Did you see that? Is there any data to back that up, Mr. Secretary?
Yeah, so this is a tough issue because historically the FBI has only really tracked, white supremacists. So like if you go back all the way to the 50s and in the 40s and the 50s and 60s, right? That's the only type of data they track. So what the left does, and they do it very well, is they'll say, well, according to FBI statistics, all the violence, all the political violence, domestic political violence we see is all coming from the right wing. It's because they haven't tracked, and the Antifa movement and all this left-wing violence is relatively new, right? We've seen this probably in the last 8 or 9 years. It's relatively new historically. And so I would really like to see the Department of Justice actually start keeping better statistics, better tracking of all of this. And I think what you'll see is by far political violence, particularly in the last 4 or 5 years, is obviously coming from the left.
Yeah, we have a handy chart actually right here of combined violence rates by party throughout the country. And it becomes really clear when you put it down in data. Yeah, it'd be nice to see somebody with a little more muscular, with a little more bravery and data. I know that you have plenty of that at America First Policy Institute. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please follow Chad Wolf right here. He's got 25,000 subscribers here on X. Let's make sure that we are rocking and rolling and fighting with the people who are fighting for us, and also have just badass photos like this. Very cool. Thank you so very much, Chad, for being on.
Thanks, guys.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, we got a lot going on. We're working very hard to build the team here quickly, and we'll probably talk about some job openings that we're going to have soon, because we've been on a hiring rampage. In fact, over this past year, we are expanding. You've been seeing some of the new documentary work that we're doing. We have some really exciting new partnerships that we're working on, and we're growing our team here. ZipRecruiter assists in making sure that our team stays strong. It is legitimately impossible to do the time-consuming task of ripping through thousands of resumes, and we have pretty big social media following, so we get a lot of resumes in. Who can go through all of them, right? It's like so difficult to do this, waiting for the right candidates to apply, sorting through all the paperwork, trying to get in touch with the potential candidates, realizing they've already found a job, or they actually just automatically, just clicked a button and whatever. Anyway, the point is that ZipRecruiter helps us with these incredible tools and features and AI to speed up our hiring process here, to save us valuable time, sort through the resumes, and ensure that we are locking in with some of the best people. And we got some great people, and we're so proud of building our team. Killer Klein's over here being like, come on, what's up? I was hired on ZipRecruiter. Killer Klein's over here saying, shout it out. Killer Klein, he knows it. Killer Klein knows it. We're just gonna pop him on screen. There he is. Killer Klein hired through ZipRecruiter. You want to know what I say? We use the products. We literally use the products. There it is. There's your ZipRecruiter hire. Okay, there we go. Killer Klein hired through ZipRecruiter, was able to find his resume and his candidacy, and we're able to I don't know where we'd be without Klein. Yeah, we'd be in a bad spot. So, ladies and gentlemen, use ZipRecruiter to hire. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Benny right now. You can try for free. ZipRecruiter.com/Benny. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire, fill roles sooner, and make sure that you get the most qualified candidates, just like Klein. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's great, Klein. Every single time we have a partner on the program, you should just be using the product, okay? You should be a personal billboard for the product, okay? Okay, that's right. So Masa Chips. Yeah, all right. I'm not going to mention it, but I got some ideas for new partnerships that I know Klein is weak for. So yeah, oh man, doing our best to just lock it in. Goodness gracious. We have a wonderful guest right now, who's our dear friend, somebody who has served his country, somebody who understands what authoritarianism, terrorism actually looks like, because, well, he's seen it up close. He is our dear friend, member of Congress from Florida, Greg Steube, who joins us live now. Thank you so much for joining us, Congressman. What the hell's going on with this? I'm the left-wing, the response to Charlie Kirk's savage murder by a leftist with a trans furry boyfriend who, according to all of his family members, was a left-wing radical who hated Charlie Kirk, hated Donald Trump, hated free speech. The response to that has been more left-wing terrorism. There hasn't been an apology from Jimmy Kimmel. There hasn't been a moment of like Democrats reconciling and saying, hold on, like this is a major problem in our party. There's been no accepting of even the premise that this is a left-wing problem. That yes, here we have a little chart. I'm just going to keep going to this chart. Yes, you can point to some instances of violence on the right, but it's like 1 out of every 100 for violence versus the left. So yes, you're going to have to deal with the big problem first before you deal with the little problems. There's been no moment on the left where this has happened, Congressman. And that's the thing that bothers me the very most is how can you unify with people who want you dead? How can you unify over a lie? You cannot. The floor is yours.
Yeah, we did a post on Twitter that took a picture of Charlie Kirk's funeral, and this is how Republicans react to having one of their people murdered, and then a picture of the reaction from the left in the George Floyd riots where they're destroying and burning entire cities down, and their justification is justice for George Floyd. It is a very different reaction that Republicans have to tragedy than the left has to tragedy, and it goes back years. I mean, I can remember when I first got elected to Congress, President Trump was president in his first term, but we lost the House. Nancy Pelosi was speaker, and going through all of the impeachment BS that we had to go through, the Russia hoax, which we all know was completely made up by the left, made up by the deep state, all of that. And Nancy Pelosi going on TV, I remember it vividly, going on TV and calling Republican members of Congress, like myself, Democratic or terrorists, domestic terrorists. That's what she said. And I think the exact quote was, Republican members of Congress are domestic terrorists. So you have the biggest, highest leaders of their party calling people like me who've served my country, who've actually fought for my country overseas and actually fought against terrorism, domestic terrorists. And so that nomenclature, these young people hear it, like the shooter that murdered our friend Charlie Kirk, they hear these things and they believe these things and they think, oh, I have to act and violence is okay. And these calls to violence, I mean, you've heard it again and again and again, and words are powerful. And when you hear people like AOC and Ilhan Omar and all these other people in the far progressive left justify violence, it emboldens the people on the left. And you're right, that graph is very telling. The picture I posted on Twitter is very telling. The left's reaction right now, because they lost the election, Trump is crushing it. He's doing what the American people want him to do. More Americans are getting behind President Trump's agenda since the election because they're seeing now our streets are safer and our cities are safer and illegals are getting it out of our country and people aren't dying of fentanyl overdoses because we're stopping the fentanyl from coming into our country. All of these things that people in the middle of our country are realizing that, wow, these policies are actually great. So their only reaction to that is to try to use violence to scare people and incite fear. And it's not going to happen. And I will say it's probably going to continue for a period of time. But more and more of these people that either get responded to with violence in defending ourselves, like I'm sure the ICE shooting today, the reports I saw says he took his own life. So these are the cowards that we're dealing with that just want to inflict violence on people and then end their own lives. But I think you're seeing the left's desperation of this is the only option we have because Trump is winning, Republicans are winning, the policies are winning, and the country's getting to a better place, and they don't know what else to do other than to resort to violence.
We have heard that now, reportedly, from Human Events, that this individual that shot up the ICE facility had a bunch of anti-ICE sentiments, left-wing coded, a young man who has once again like gone out as a sniper and attempted to take the lives of federal officers and agents. This comes just hours after Tim Walz and Gavin Newsom, two men that want to be president, defamed and slandered and painted a target on the back of federal agents by calling them Gestapo, by calling them authoritarian tyrants.
Yep.
You know, at what point, like, again, this is incitement. You know, at that level of demonization of law enforcement is incitement. And I guess it's just carried, you know, I guess members of Congress that serve with you can go punch ICE agents and literally fight ICE agents and nothing will happen to them, like LaMonica McIver.
Yeah, we can't even get him removed from Congress, for crying out loud. I mean, the votes come, we have, 3 or 4 people on our side that vote with the Democrats, and you can't even remove these people off committees. It's insane.
So first off, like, Republicans have to get stronger on this. So I got a couple of questions, but one, how did Republicans actually like understand what time it is? You know, there's plenty of people going there wanting, like, to Charlie Kirk's memorial. You know, it's like, there's plenty of people there, and I know a lot of them, and they're good, and they have good hearts. But do they have the will to actually solve the problem that got Charlie Kirk killed?
You know, that's the challenge that faces us. We have probably 160 to 180 strong conservative members of Congress, but we need 218 people to get anything passed. And you have a lot of Republicans that are in Democrat districts that are afraid of doing anything that would remotely compromise their ability to win re-election. And that is not the way you represent people. If you're moving to the left, you're making the conservatives and the Republicans that voted for you upset, because why am I voting for a Republican who's going to vote like and act like a Democrat? And I mean, I've seen it in Florida where people have moved to the center and they've lost their primaries. For some reason, it's not happening across the country. And the speaker and our leadership is so deathly afraid of putting 7 to 10 members of Congress in a tough position on votes that are conservative votes, because they claim that they're going to lose their re-elections. And I would rather pass all this great conservative policy, do the things that the president wants us to do, because I think more and more people will come out and support for those policies, like we've seen all across the country. I mean, the president won every swing state in this last election. It's like unheard of that would happen. And I think this movement is going to continue.
So you have served in war zones. Here's photos of you in Iraq. You have served in counterinsurgency and you fought actual terrorist cells. What needs to be done here against domestic terrorists who have yet again this morning terrorized federal agents, attacked the federal government, shot at an ICE facility with the intention to kill, and as far as we know right now, reportedly have taken the lives of 3 individuals at this ICE facility? What must happen now?
Well, I think justice has to happen, but it has to happen fast. I mean, people are sick and tired of like somebody trying to assassinate somebody, or this shooter that killed our friend Charlie Kirk, and it'll be a year or 2 years before it even gets before a judge. That's frustrating to people when justice takes that long to happen. So in this particular incident, these attacks on ICE agents, I mean, the law's already pretty clear. If you attempt to murder a law enforcement officer, you can get capital punishment for that. And this occurred in Texas. I'm sure they have the capital penalty like we do in Florida. And the trial should happen quick. Justice should be served. And maybe that would be a deterrent to some of these other people. But here's the other piece of this too, is the FBI and the DOJ need to do a deep dive into this person's network. Because obviously this is a group of people, like you mentioned that the last attack on this facility was a group of Antifa people. I can guarantee you they're somehow linked into this. So making this a conspiracy to kill law enforcement officers and being able to charge all of these people for these different crimes and put away the network that is supporting these type of activities, I think will go a really, really long way.
Wouldn't terrorism like have different courts? I'm no lawyer, but wouldn't there be like a swifter or potential military process where you could have different courts if you are actively committing in an organized fashion terrorism acts against the U.S. federal government and its law enforcement agents?
If it happened on a military base, you could go through the UCMJ. But if it happens in like this incident, the state laws would apply, and then federal laws would apply, and they could get charged in both jurisdictions. They could get charged in the state court and charged in the federal court. Now, state courts typically move a lot faster than the federal courts do. But there's nothing that would allow some type of terrorist court specific to that unless it happened on a military base. Now, overseas, the bad guys that we prosecuted, obviously a totally different scenario because that happened overseas. But like the stuff that we're seeing here has to be prosecuted in the state courts and or federal courts, depending on the crimes that were committed.
Even if they're part of a terrorist organization that's been designated as Antifa, as a designated domestic terrorist organization.
Yeah, but go after them under the conspiracy charges in the federal law. I mean, those have huge penalties. You can put these people away for a really long time. And I think people think they can hide behind a keyboard and inciting violence, hide behind a keyboard and organizing these type of attacks on law enforcement officials. You start putting those people in handcuffs under a conspiracy to kill law enforcement officers charges. And I think that will go a long way to, one, deter people from that type of activity, and two, put bad people in prison where they belong.
Final comment and question to you, Congressman, about Jimmy Kimmel and his non-apology last night. Did that satisfy you and your righteous indignation for the Kirk family?
No, of course it didn't. He didn't apologize, and then he goes back to attacking the FCC and attacking Trump and all of that. What's crazy is you have 3 times more followers on Twitter than this guy has that watches his show. So that's the justice in that situation. Is people don't want to listen to that. People don't want to watch that except the far left lunatics that support him. And I did read that Nexstar and some of these other cable companies are not going to continue to carry him, which is great. So he's not going to have even that reach that he currently has on the late night show. Look, it's a balance protecting free speech, but obviously the things that he is saying should not allow him to be able to be on a cable network to say that type of stuff. And what's interesting, it has nothing to do about free speech in the Kimmel incident. It has nothing to do with free speech.
Not on a cable network. He's on a federally licensed broadcast network, terrestrial broadcast, that is paid for by you and me and the taxpayers lavishly. Yeah. So like on a cable network, you'd have no grounds, but this is an FCC licensure. You have porn laws, you have swearing laws, you have a bunch of decency laws, you have violence laws. You must be able to broadcast in the public interest. I mean, I want to make sure that everybody understands this is not like an MSNBC host. This is not a Fox News host. You have to, the differences between ABC, NBC, and CBS are profound when it comes to FCC licensures.
Yep,
and whenever you get in federal dollars, Congressman, there are going to be strings attached. And the strings are you can't lie in a non-joke. It's not like he was telling a joke. He was giving a news read. You can't lie about the motive of a murder when federal authorities are saying this. You're going to incite more violence. And now we've seen it happen.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Forgive my interruption. This has made my blood boil. It's made my blood boil. Nobody took away Jimmy Kimmel's free speech. Nobody stopped him from like tweeting. He didn't get banned from all social media like Donald Trump. He didn't get ripped down from YouTube like we learned yesterday. So many different creators did. He didn't get like even his show canceled. He could have stood on the street corner and yelled. He could have tweeted. He could have posted. He should have done anything. He could have gone on any show he wanted to. Jimmy Kimmel's speech was never under threat ever. He got a penalty. He got put in timeout for being a dick and for lying. And that's a totally fundamentally different thing. Forgive me, but I just...
You're good. I agree with you.
Our show was a major factor in fighting back against this, and I'm frustrated at not yourself, but other weak Republicans that like ran to Jimmy Kimmel's defense. It makes me very angry.
Well, keep fighting. I'm with you.
Yeah. We know you are, Congressman. That's why we're a massive fan of yours. Obviously, Charlie's team also not happy about this whole Jimmy Kimmel non-apology. Everybody needs to follow the great Congressman right here. He has 120,000 subscribers here on X. Make sure that you're fighting with the people who are fighting for us. Godspeed, Congressman. Keep fighting. If we just had like 100 more of you, not into human cloning, but if we just had 100 more of you, we'd be set.
I need 217 friends in Congress. We could get a lot of great stuff done.
Thank you, Congressman.
All right, see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we have been on the road, we needed to lock in totally. We had disruption in our production. We had disruption in our show. Sometimes sometimes you can do the show, sometimes you can't. You had a lot of like just us having to lock in for the last couple of days. We appreciate, by the way, also your loyalty and your patience and like being a part of this community. We cannot thank you enough for rolling with us in this time. This was a time where we needed total and complete focus. There are things that must be able to happen in the background. Part of that is the management of your investment portfolio. Allio Capital assists us in doing that. Allio Capital makes sure that there is a hands-off or hands-on if you want, but either way, hands-off for me, because we're here letting her rip in the studio every single day, management of our investments. They use AI, Altitude AI, in order to make sure that your investments are moved and processing and nimble given current events. We live in an insane world. Things are happening. There might be 2 or 3 more rate cuts, for instance. Inflation numbers, job numbers, things are all over the place. It's helter-skelter. And ladies and gentlemen, Allio Capital is making sure that on a macro and a micro level that my investments are being managed. You should download their app today. This is how I use them. There's a lot of different ways. Fantastic app. Download their app in the Apple Store or Google Play. Text my name, Benny, to 511-511. That's Allio Capital. Benny to 511-511. Download their Allio Capital app. Text Benny to 511-511. Okay, so I just want to, and let's check in. Senator set, ready to rock? Okay, Ron Johnson. I want to talk to Ron Johnson about, I know that Ron Johnson has worked very closely with Turning Point, worked very closely with Turning Point activists and some of the, had a sharp relationship with Charlie. And also is like obviously a massive free speech defender. But that is not what's at stake here with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel lied yesterday. And before we get to the senator, if you'll just allow me, I just have like 30-second clip that we got to cover here because he's a straight up liar. He is someone who is non-repentant about further painting a target on the back of MAGA, which is what he did. So let me play you the original clip. Here's the original clip of Jimmy Kimmel saying that MAGA is, and I'm quoting here, desperately trying to paint the victim as the shooter here as someone other than one of them. He says it. He says the shooter is MAGA. There's only one way to interpret this. Let's go.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing.
You heard it. I heard it. The world heard it. Jimmy Kimmel got ripped off air because Disney said, "You gonna apologize for this?" And Jimmy Kimmel was like, "Nah, man, screw him." He is a repulsive individual. Jimmy Kimmel has squeed with joy and assisted in the cancellation and destruction of many on the right. And then last night, he had the temerity, the pure bloody cheek and hubris to come out and say he didn't do the thing that he just did on camera. Listen to this.
To stand up to it. I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight. And the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't.
Okay. You heard Jimmy Kimmel there lie. Now, he's a good actor. He's acting, but he's lying. I didn't try and blame anyone. You literally did. We just played the clips back to back. What Jimmy Kimmel needed to do last night was to say, "I'm sorry for blaming MAGA. It's clearly left-wing violence. We have a problem on our side. I'm going to work on my rhetoric. I apologize to Erica Kirk. I apologize to Charlie's orphaned children who will never know his father. And if there's any part that I played in dehumanizing the right, then I want to personally apologize. That is the only message. That is the only message. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, somebody who I'm sure has quite an opinion on this is the great Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, a place where Charlie spent a lot of time. And, well, we want to give the senator the floor right now. Senator, thank you so much for being back on the program. I know that you worked closely with Charlie and Turning Point USA. I know that you've had Turning Point USA activists like Alex Clark in for committee hearings and so on. And so obviously what you want is you want a respectful and open dialogue about the problems in the country. And you can't have that if people continually lie about what the problems are. And the reality is that the preponderance of data shows that the left wing is violent and militant and are perfectly able to excuse violence against people they don't like and then commit violence. How do we solve a problem like this, Senator?
Well, Benny, first let me start by offering my sincere condolences to you personally. You know, we all experienced loss with Charlie's assassination, but because you know him so well, your loss is just that much greater. So I'm sincerely sorry for your personal loss. You know, from my standpoint, the way we battle these folks is with the truth. You know, I just ignore Jimmy Kimmel. I don't watch him. I think Disney was probably taking advantage of the situation because his ratings are dropping to eventually cancel him because of that. I think same thing happened to Stephen Colbert. So I think the hopeful sign here is you have alternate media. You're part of it. The truth has its own power. The lies are becoming so obvious from the left. As you say, you know, what we do know is, for example, the left wants open borders. They are completely opposed to President Trump closing the borders. They are completely opposed to President Trump trying to deport the criminals. They have incited violence against ICE. They've incited violence against conservatives in general. President Biden basically viewed half of America as potential domestic terrorists. They've targeted way more than Donald Trump in their lawfare. I mean, Chuck Grassley and I released the list of close to 100 other conservative groups associated with Trump that were also targeted by a federal agency, weaponized federal agency. So again, these things we all know. Listen, it's going to continue to be frustrating because the legacy, the corporate media still has a lot of power, a lot of sway. And it is unbelievably galling and frustrating for us to listen to them tell those lies, to be so smarmy about their positions on these things. So again, I share your frustration. I always say nobody can out frustrate me. But again, we've got to be looking forward. We've got to listen to what Erica Kirk said. You know, she talked about what Christ talked about. We don't respond to hate with hate. We respond to hate with love. And I think that is the approach. I think that is the winning approach. It's the winning message. It's not the easy message. You know this. Being a Christian is not easy. It's never been easy. That's why we have martyrs. And Charlie is a martyr. I actually had a pastor on a telephone town hall that week, and I was just talking about Charlie and what I knew and the tragedy of his death. And I referred to him as evangelist of two things. Of what made this country great, the principles, freedom, free speech, a free market system, and then, of course, an evangelist for his faith. And he died a martyr. And I actually had a leftist pastor on saying, he's no martyr. How can you deny that? So again, the left will continue to deny the truth. The left will continue to push lies. But we do have the truth on our side. And we have to take solace in that, quite honestly.
That's fine. I'll take solace in it when people stop dropping dead from assassin bullets that have left-wing iconography like written into them, and tell them that it actually is a Christian obligation for us, Senator, to wield the sword, especially those who have been placed in power like yourself, to wield the sword according to Romans 13 in order to inspire terror in evil men. And that's what I'd really like for the federal government to do. I'd like for the federal government to disrupt terrorist networks that are domesticated and left-wing And that is where, and having an honest conversation about what the problem is, because you can't unite with people that want you dead, Senator. You can't unite over a lie either. There's no unity over lies. The lie is that both sides commit violence. That's the lie. That's what they're trying to push. That's what Jimmy Kimmel pushed last night. It's time for, I think, Republican leaders to have a very honest and muscular conversation about where the violence is coming from. Say it to their faces, and then do something about it.
Well, the first step in forgiveness is the person needs to ask for forgiveness.
Right.
I'm more than willing to forgive people once they admit what they've done and they're asking forgiveness. But just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean you don't punish them. We have a judicial system that relies on punishment as a deterrent, but also just in the sake of justice. So again, forgiveness is one thing. That's a spiritual thing. But we are here in a secular world, and we have crime, and we have murder, and we have assassinations, and those people committing those acts of violence, those acts of terror, those acts of evil do also need to be punished. Now, if they ask for forgiveness, sure, I'm more than willing to forgive them, but that doesn't mean I won't punish them as well and support their punishment.
Yes. So you've been working on, you're one of the businessmen in the entire Senate. Just want to ask for a quick update on what's going on with oversight, Russiagate, Obamagate, FBI, some of the more important investigations that you're on that perhaps I don't even know off the top of my head, but you're just one of the most dogged investigators that is trying to expose the corruption inside of our government, and at the very least, shine a light on it. And for that, we are thankful. Can you just give us a brief update?
Well, first of all, understand how dependent Congress is on whistleblowers. The deep state is deep, is pervasive, and no matter who is president, no matter who he appoints, like Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, in positions of authority, they don't know where all the documents are. They do not know what's being hidden from them. So we truly do need whistleblowers. And part of the problems that both Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are facing is you had a bunch of leftists that simply couldn't serve in the Trump administration. They resigned. They had to terminate a bunch of partisans. And because of the lawfare against good people like Judge Troupas here in Wisconsin, who just represented the President of the United States in the alternate elector case, they are destroying Judge Troupas. And so it doesn't take very many people to be destroyed by the lawfare from the left to make other people very reluctant to step up the plate and say, yeah, I want to serve this president for 3 years, but I also want to have a career after that. And I know how the left goes after us. So again, it doesn't take a brutal dictator, very many people to hang in the public square before everybody kind of falls in line and just stays quiet. And that's a big problem inside these agencies. We don't know where the bodies are buried. We don't know where the documents are. As much as Bobby Kennedy or Kash Patel or Pam Bondi want to be transparent and provide this information to Congress, we need whistleblowers inside those agencies who know where the documents are to come forward with those documents, like the whistleblower that came forward to provide that information to Senator Grassley on the list of people that the Biden administration was targeting. So again, it's a tough slog. These investigations are not easy. People who do wrong cover their tracks pretty effectively.
We have that investigation that you just mentioned up right now. Grassley exposes Biden FBI for targeting 100 Republican groups, including Charlie Kirk, including Turning Point USA, including me. And so I just thank you, at the very least, for exposing this.
Well, again, and you do it kind of one step at a time. So here's one piece of the puzzle. Now we have to find out, what did they do to those individuals? What kind of investigatory steps did they take? How do they trample on the rights of those individuals? I thought, Turning Point was interesting. Anybody associated with Trump, the Republican Attorney General's Association was also being targeted. Again, this is beyond the pale. This should, of course, if you had an honest legacy media, this would be a headline. This is shocking to our democracy. But again, you got the legacy media. They're part of the problem. They are the communication arm for the radical left Democrat Party. So we just don't hear it other than on podcasts like this.
Well, we have a lot more viewers than Jimmy Kimmel, so we'll take it. I'm not sure that's the bar that we should be trying to reach, but you got to start somewhere. Okay, well, thank you so much for your work on this. I can tell you exactly what they did. I mean, would you like to depose me right now, Senator? They went after my social media. They targeted me. My name is in all these documents. You can see them from the FBI and the CIA, Twitter documents, Facebook documents, and so on. They were constantly coming after our social media, constantly trying to take down my accounts with Charlie. My name was linked to Charlie in all of these documents, and they're trying to take all of us down. They succeeded in demonetizing, threatening the accounts, like putting us in effectively purgatory, limiting all of our reach. And then, of course, once they weren't able to take the accounts down, they resorted to more extreme means to try and take down Charlie. These demons, I guess their work is backfiring now, as this is the single largest apostolic event in human history, was the celebration of Charlie Kirk's life and memorial, and it will carry on. But anyway, the point is that, like, there's the list. It's real censorship. And so I got no empathy for the fake crocodile tears of Jimmy Kimmel crying about fake censorship when we are the victims of real, literal, fascistic federal censorship. But I appreciate you and your committee investigating this.
Well, again, we're happy to take documents. Again, Eric Schmidt, his lawsuit, which revealed all of these things in terms of how the Biden administration pressured these social media companies. Again, that's another piece of the puzzle. There are a lot more pieces of the puzzle that need to be assembled and obtained.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We've got a little piece of the puzzle here. Apparently the bullets, Senator, this is brand new breaking news. The bullets that were fired fatally at an ICE facility were engraved with anti-ICE messaging. Where have we seen that before, Senator?
We saw it, unfortunately, just recently.
Yeah. Seems like there's some type of connection. Boy, it'd be nice for the federal government to get really serious about cracking down on left-wing violence.
Well, I think President Trump will be.
Yep. You're one of the good ones, Senator. We really appreciate your friendship and your friendship with the show. Everybody follow Senator Ron Johnson right here. He's got nearly 700,000 followers. We want to make sure that we're pouring in and fighting with the people who fight for us. Godspeed, Senator.
Godspeed.
There was a press conference that just wrapped. It was really short, and our team was monitoring it, of course. And they wrapped, and there was one big news nugget. I just talked about it with the senator. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence. It is unfortunately just the most recent example we've seen of targeted violence, to include here in North Texas, where back on July 4th, we saw a coordinated attack carried out against an immigration detention center in Alvarado, Texas. What I can also share with you is that early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature. Again, this is just the most recent example of this type of attack. This will be a whole of government response.
Yes.
There will be no resource not utilized to bring all those individuals who are responsible to bring them to justice and to hold them accountable.
When are we going to get serious, ladies and gentlemen? When are we going to get serious? I have more to cover. We have so much going on today. I have my virtually empty mug here, my Trump mug. Look at that. Look at the size of this thing. The size of my head. We're not gonna rest. We are under attack. We're not gonna rest. Like how much more? Can you put the live shot up? We got like a live shot of the actual ICE facility, the actual crime scene here. This from local Dallas news. This is a helicopter above the ICE facility right now where the shots rang out. We're under attack. Like, how many more data points do you need to understand that this is life or death? Because why? Because you are fighting the principalities of evil. Evil is losing. They are going to lash out violently. They are going to attack. They're going to kill. The nature of Satan is what? Steal, kill, destroy. If you watch someone stealing, killing, and destroying, just like they did with Charlie's life, just like they try to do with Trump's life, they tried to steal his life, kill him, and then destroy, what the work that they could do in this earth. We are fighting a spiritual battle. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to have energy to fight the battle. We have more news for you, but a quick break here to talk about Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is my friends. Mornings like this, you just you just keep redlining it. We just haven't really stopped, and we won't stop. And we're going to keep, it's like, this is a battle. This is a civilizational battle. And it'd go hot. It was going to go hot one of these days, and it's gone hot. Blackout Coffee, man, literally fills our cup. Monster mug right there, filled with Blackout Coffee, because they are just the single best coffee product you can get out there. They are brewed in my home every morning. I drink about a pot a day. Probably not healthy, probably not the best, but I drink a pot of coffee a day, and I drink my coffee black, so it has to be good coffee. It tastes like, trash from Seattle. I won't like it. No, it has to be good. Blackout Coffee, made here, roasted here, small batch, by Americans, for Americans. If you believe in hard work, American values, and coffee that actually tastes like coffee, go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny and use the code Benny for 20% off your first order. Support the American dream and drink Blackout Coffee. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Stop settling and start drinking real coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't, I'm not going to sit here and compliment Jimmy Kimmel. I won't. There is a moment, however, that I think is more complimentary of Erica Kirk than of Jimmy Kimmel. However, it does speak to the power of Erica Kirk's actions at Charlie's memorial service. And that is Erica Kirk forgiving the assassin of Charlie, the left-wing assassin. We've talked at length about this and about how this plus Donald Trump and Stephen Miller going berserker mode on left-wing violence, how that is totally harmonious in the Christian worldview, and how you must forgive on a personal and spiritual level for your own mortal soul that will be judged before God, as we all will be. You will be held responsible for your actions and your actions alone. But the federal government, the government that has been instituted and set up by God, they don't have to forgive. In fact, it is the obligation for the federal government to institute swift justice and to ensure that evil men are terrorized and that good men are protected. So what you saw demonstrated in Erica's forgiveness and President Trump's resolve are perfectly harmonious Christian doctrine. It had a profound effect. And so I'm not going to sit here and praise Jimmy Kimmel. I'm just going to use this as an example of how powerful Erica's actions were in the 40 seconds probably of Jimmy Kimmel's show that I 100% agreed with him on. Here it is.
Over the weekend, a very beautiful moment. I don't know if you saw this. On Sunday, Erica Kirk forgave the man who shot her husband. She forgave him. That is an example we should follow. If you believe in the teachings of Jesus, as I do, there it was. That's it. A selfless act of grace, forgiveness from a grieving widow. It touched me deeply. And I hope it touches many. And if there's anything we should take from this tragedy to carry forward, I hope it can be that, not this. So thank you for listening, and I'll have more to say.
Okay. Again, you've heard what I think about the crocodile tears, and I've unloaded on Jimmy Kimmel. Our show was critical, actually, in Jimmy Kimmel finally facing repercussions on this. And I will just warn everyone of those on the right whose immediate instinct after Jimmy Kimmel suffered an actual consequence for the first time in his career for saying a grotesque and disgusting thing in a battle that they didn't have to fight. The battle was fought for them. The victory was gift wrapped for them. There were those on the right who decided this was going to be my opportunity to protect Jimmy Kimmel and to attack Donald Trump. If that is your instinct, then you are not operating in good faith. Then you are, in fact, operating in the opposite of what Charlie Kirk would have wanted. Now, we have that Charlie Kirk clip, right? We have Charlie Kirk talking about going on offense, right? Yeah. Okay. Producers, this is the time. Because those of us who worked with Charlie and those of us who understand Charlie understand that you must demonstrate cultural power. You have to use cultural power when you get an opportunity. You must be able to cause for your enemies and for those who are attacking you a deterrent so that they do not attack you any longer. This is the clip, ladies and gentlemen. If you're wondering why those who are close to Charlie Kirk had the immediate instinct, put it up, Klein, had the immediate instinct to deliver a culture war victory in this moment, to that our instinct was, let's fight. Jimmy Kimmel said something indefensible. Let's rub their faces in it. Let's grab the back of ABC's head and the back of Disney's head. Let's shove their nose in it. Let's make them defend the indefensible. Let's contact the broadcast partners who were forced to broadcast these lies to their MAGA audiences, to their Charlie Kirk fan audiences. Let's look at legal and proper oversight from the FCC of these broadcast licensures that give Jimmy Kimmel such a big platform and $16 million a year. Let's have a real conversation and take real action, not just yap, 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 yap on the internet. All these yappers, yap, 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 yap. I fight culture wars. I'm such a fighter. Okay, until it actually comes to a real victory, a culture war victory that is gift wrapped by the work and effort of other people placed in the right's lap, and then we get attacked for it. Disgusting behavior. And then they attack the Trump administration for it. Sickening behavior. I disavow it. I'll call it out. I'll debate it on the show all day. What we did here with Jimmy Kimmel, by making him get on his knees and grovel and cry and beg for his show back, suffering simply a consequence for being an inhuman dick. A consequence which, by the way, Charlie's closest friends and allies, like the executive producer of this show, is out saying all morning, like, this is not enough. You can't just sit here and both sides this garbage. You need to apologize for blaming MAGA for Charlie's death. That's what you did. It wasn't a joke. You were inspiring more violence against MAGA. And now here's the bullets, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you're wondering. Here's the bullets. We haven't seen the bullets. It's interesting how we haven't seen the bullets from Charlie's assassin. But here they are this morning. Anti-ice. They're one of the bullet casings right there with anti-ice scrawled on it. You know, their motive is a mystery, right? The Biden DOJ would say. We may never know. CNN saying right now, we may never know the motive of the killer. Yeah, it's time to get real about these things. It's time to not like get mealy-mouthed, be little good doggies, get a pat on the head from Jimmy Kimmel when we allow him to continue to like slander MAGA. And it's time to understand like what Charlie taught us. You should look at the instincts of the people who are closest to Charlie. I think we have a clip of Colvette from this morning saying, no, we're not going to, like, Colvette was very, very close with Charlie. In fact, the first time I ever met Charlie, which was like a decade ago, Colvette was there, you know, by his side. Colvette was his executive producer on his show. And he's saying, not enough. Here we go.
Like Jimmy Kimmel says that the shooter of Charlie was MAGA. What he's really saying is that it's okay to lie about conservatives, that their lives don't matter, that the his agenda, his political agenda and cultural agenda is more important than the life of my friend who was just taken from us and robbed from us. And you see this with Maggioni, you see this with Charlie Kirk, now you see it with this ICE facility. It's not okay. And when people like Jimmy Kimmel skirt the truth, when they refuse to take accountability for their actions, then that sends a signal that there's a whole institutional machinery, apparatus that's prepared to defend these evildoers. And that's not okay. What we need is, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I lied,
Yes.
I was wrong,
Yes.
and I won't do it again. And my apologies to the Kirk family and to Erica Kirk.
So, Andrew, I'm
and,
just going to...
And that would have been contrition.
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting you. I just want to get this on in case...
That rings like a bell. Rings like a bell. But there was instinct on our side. There was instinct on our side to use Charlie Kirk's... to use Jimmy Kimmel lying about Charlie Kirk's death and Jimmy Kimmel finally suffering a consequence to attack Trump. Let me show you why those who actually knew Charlie, worked with Charlie, built with Charlie, had the immediate, visceral, animalistic instinct to go on offense and to say, nope, you have crossed the line. Here's a clip of Charlie Kirk. This is a clip just a few months before Charlie Kirk was murdered by a leftist. This was before the 2024 election, but not too far before it. And it's Charlie Kirk talking about what makes him different, that he goes on offense. Listen to this.
We're living through a moment where this is the most consequential historical climax, like since the American Civil War. That's not BS. That's not spin. Yeah, this is even. Yeah, this is. I mean, like 1776 Tea Party. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's a question, right? And I have no idea if we're going to win or not. So yeah, you have a thought?
Why don't we go on the offense?
We're trying, man. So that's a good question.
I like what you're the only one that I see.
Well, it's because thank you, and I'm not the only one. But let me tell you why. By the grace of God, I am not in federal prison. By the grace of God, I'm not indicted. That's not a joke. That's what these people do. Okay. Well, look, you're right, and I pray for me every day, and pray, and you should, because there's only a few of us that actually play offense.
Yes.
James O'Keefe plays offense. Yes. But what happened to him? They removed him from his organization. He's under criminal investigation by the FBI and the Westchester DA. Steve Bannon plays offense. He's going to go to federal prison next month. Tucker Carlson plays offense. They took him off air. Any player that plays, Donald Trump plays offense. He's facing 600 years in federal prison. That's why we don't play offense. How about this? We have 16 literally amazing senior citizens that have done such good for our country in Michigan that are facing rest of their life in prison because they signed a document to become an alternate elector. To become an alternate elector. Most people don't even know about this story. This story was buried. I'm going to talk about this tonight. These are 16 senior citizens. I'll tell you about Rose Rook, 81 years old, from Paw Paw, Michigan. She signed a piece of paper to become an alternate elector, her constitutional right with historical precedent. She's facing 120 years in federal prison. 81 years old, she has $30,000 to her name, and her husband died 10 years ago. And the Michigan AG is trying to show her as a domestic terrorist. She can't defend herself. The whole weight of the world is, the cruelty is the point. We are dealing with savages. This is not normal. This is ultra-revolution time. Like, they are eating the country from within.
There you go.
The problem is they preempt us against offense, but that is not an excuse. We all have to play offense. We have to take the initiative. But here's the thing. We are not good offensive players. I'll prove it to you.
That's absolutely correct.
Because conservatives definitionally are defensive. We are conserving against their offense, right? So, like, by our temperament is to build businesses and churches and be agreeable. Our temperament, we don't think like revolutionaries. Well, we got to change that.
Yep. Nice.
I know, but my next book is literally called Right-Wing Revolution. Like, I'm trying to make people think in a way where we're trying to stop their refounding of America. Here's the good news. If you want, like, the good news of all this, the founders have given us this unbelievable opportunity. The fact that we still have some semblance of a constitution gives us hope. Like, if we did not have the founders, God bless them. Like, I'll give you an example, the Electoral College. If it was not for the Electoral College, this is game, set, match, we're done. Now we have a chance, right? A collection of states. It's still going to be very hard, right? But there's still hope, is what I'm saying.
Hopeful, willing to fight, ready to go on offense, ready to talk about how we must go on offense against the left's cultural revolution that we are now witnessing taking place, blood in the streets. Against Charlie, against now, ICE agent, here we go, suspect Joshua Yan murdered 2 immigrants and killed himself with anti-ICE iconography bullets. Left-wing violence is a national emergency. We can't even go a week anymore without multiple left-wing terror attacks. The entire force of the federal government must be used to ruthlessly subdue and crush this terrorist threat. This cannot continue. We cannot live this way. This is Matt Walsh. There it is. Is this the guy? I don't know. I don't want to put up a mugshot until ALX sees it. But, yep, they got it. Officially another left-wing terrorist attack. Anti-ICE. Don't put it up until ALX approves. I don't know. We don't want to put the wrong mugshot up. Just something that's just bad energy if you do that. So there it is. And for every Republican that's like treat me like a doggy, like pet me and give me a treat. Give me a treat. Look, I'll be nice to you. We'll never do anything mean. Imagine if it was the other side. We don't have to imagine. Trump's shot in the head. Members of Congress were shot by the dozens practicing baseball. Charlie shot and killed. President Trump's would-be assassin was just found guilty yesterday. I just want to cover this. Would-be assassin tried to stab himself in the neck and kill himself as the verdict was read. He's found guilty, 5 federal charges. Could you imagine if the roles were reversed? Could you imagine if the left used censorship, government censorship, to try and take right-wingers off the air? Yeah, we can imagine it because it literally happened to us. It literally happened to ALX, who's in these documents. They went after ALX's account, and his account was deleted. The hubris of these people at Twitter at the time, these like right-wing people, I won't name them, I probably will in one of these shows. These right-wing people that were at Twitter at the time that were openly lying to me about ALX, our executive producer. It's not the time for that. We don't have time. We're going on Tim Pool's show in like a few minutes, so... This is what happened, though. He tried to, Ryan Routh tried to stab himself in the neck. Dude, people are demons, man. They're just demons. Here's the court. Here's the court sketch of it. Goodness gracious. Dude was a Biden voter. You can see the Biden sticker. Here you go. He's like sitting there walking around with a Biden sticker on the back of his truck. It's a Biden voter. He's all the donations he sent the Democrats. But you don't hear anything about it. Guy tried to murder Donald Trump a couple times, actually. Tried to use Ukrainian weapons to do it. Found guilty as hell. Tried to stab himself in the neck. Literal demon. And what? Any coverage? Nothing? Interesting. Jimmy Kimmel just saying, oh, it's a both sides issue. No, it's not. And it's time to go on offense. It is. You want to do it? You want to understand why Charlie was so effective? That's why. He didn't just gripe and yap on the internet all day and then surrender. He actually thought through critically and tactically how to wield power, how to use power, and how to be effective. So getting Jimmy Kimmel pulled off air, getting Jimmy Kimmel to get down on his knees and grovel for his job is one of the career highlights of my life. If you even knew everything that's gone on behind the scenes, like, oh man, it's great. We're going to carry forward. We're going to carry that mantle as best we can for our friend, Charlie. I just want to defend my friend. I just want to defend my friend. And sadly, I got to defend him against the right as well as the left. But don't worry. We got a strong back. You know what I mean? We're going to do it. We got God on our side. What do I mean by that? Well, we just Christ center our lives. Charlie taught us how. We just Christ center our lives. Get rid of the distractions. Be simple Christians. Read our Bible and believe it. We read it every single day. Here's your verse of the day. Ephesians 4:26. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down when you are angry, Do not give the devil a foothold. I mean, when it comes to my mortal soul, you gotta forgive. I find it very hard. I don't know how Erica does it. I don't know how Erica does it. Ooh. My wife was like, nah, it's not, like if something bad happened to you, I'm not forgiving you. That's what my wife said. I'm not trying to put Nurse Kate on blast, but I'm like, all of us are thinking that, right? Like, how do you find it within you to do that? Erica Kirk gave two of the most important and impactful speeches I've ever heard in my life, and she gave it back to back. I don't know how she did it, man. Whew. We were able to hug Erica backstage and chill with her and like mourn with her and cry with her a bit. Turning Point's in great hands, man. She is like, it's crazy. It just, you know what I told her? I told Erica, I'm like, it wasn't you. It was clearly the Spirit of God speaking, and because no human being could do it. What you did was spiritual. Everybody saw it. It like ceased to be you. And I've known Erica for years. And, I love them both dearly. I have so many fond memories of her and Charlie together. And we'd go to these events. We'd go speak at these events and start these clubs or build these things. And Erica was constantly with Charlie. And it was like, these were like really fun times. And, man, it was something not magical, literally spiritual. It's so cool. So that's why we do our verse of the day. Because with man, nothing is possible. With God, everything is possible. So do not give the devil a foothold. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. But know that it is the federal government's job to wield the sword and to establish peace for good men in our land. And we're going to keep pushing for that. We'll do it with you. We thank you this morning. And we're back, baby. Big announcements tomorrow. A lot of big announcements tomorrow. Get ready. Exciting times. God is with us, and we will win. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
Damn, that boy is good.
Good and terrible. Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.